Presented by PrizePicks, $100 match on your first deposit with the promo code. Welcome to Light Years. Andy Lou?
Yes, sir.
I did not know Mike Dunleavy had the Farhan gene in him. You know what? Like, look, 52nd overall pick. I've been saying to you the entire time, I just hope he can find another Trace. Like, if you can find a guy who can play in your rotation at that point.
They didn't find Trace.
You've done good. What?
They didn't find Trace. They found Nikola. Nikola Jokic, baby. Hey, by the way, your Farhan comp, by the way, is perfect because Joe Lacob gave him a budget to stay within. And Mike Dunleavy said, I'm going to get creative under that budget. And that he did.
So there's like two things to call out here. First, earlier in the day, we are told that they're trading the second overall pick. Or sorry, 52nd. They did not have the second.
Should have traded the second overall pick, but keep it.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe that was a Freudian slip because I wanted. Anyway, they traded it for Lindy Waters, and I actually like that move. Look, he may or he may not be an NBA, like a real NBA player, but I've seen him play in OKC enough. The dude can flat out shoot the ball. That is a fact. 6'6", long wingspan. Could be a Damian Lee, honestly. And he's 25. He's been on the Thunder for 3 years now. Basically, Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe just ate up all his rotation minutes. And like those guys are legitimately just good. So I don't know if he's going to play beyond the end of the bench for the Warriors. But honestly, if you turn the 52nd overall pick into a Damian Lee or an Ian Clark type, like, look, man, at least that's something you can use at the end of the bench. Doesn't solve everything, but it's one less roster spot, right?
Yeah. A buddy texted me and was like, hey, the guy can shoot the piss out the ball. I mean, he's a great shooter at the NBA level, which I think means a lot, especially for the Warriors who are trying to win now. Like, you're not looking to draft a kid who's like, yeah, theoretically he can shoot in like 3 years, right? Like that's what we saw from Moses Moody, right? Like he is a shooter, but like, can he shoot at the NBA level consistently, right?
At NBA speed, yeah. I mean, this guy's shooting 10 threes a game in G League games. And when he goes into the NBA games, the same frequency, he's putting them up. He's in there to space the floor. So
yeah, I mean, just what is it, 38% or something? Like that's absurd numbers. So I thought that was cool. Another thing, I think one more thing I liked about the move before the stuff that I don't like. What I did like is it hints at me a little bit. Maybe this is copium that the Warriors are looking to fill up the end of their roster with more ready to make players because they're going to make trades moving forward. Like for what I'm trying to say is like Moses Moody's going to be gone. And this guy, shit, I don't even remember. Lindy Waters is going to play a lot of maybe what Moses Moody is going to play, at least give you some version of Moses Moody because he's not going to be on the roster anymore. So that's kind of what I think that might be a good omen for them. What I think is a little, maybe not so great is I'd like to see the Warriors target wings that can play a little. I know he's 6'6", but he's not a wing. I'd like them to target guys who can play a little more defense, who are longer, who are bigger, but it seems like they're kind of more focused on maybe just that shooting aspect. And that's fine. I mean, again, it's a 12th, 13th, 14th guy. It'd be nice if they focused on that because as we're going to talk about in a second, like they drafted another guy who's also not a wing with their second round pick, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way. I think it's going to be easier to make him semi-competent defensively than make a defensive wing a shooter at the end of the bench. So it was brutal watching Steph get triple teamed because no one's respected on this team as a shooter. I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, end of the day, he's best case is Damian Lee. So probably not in the rotation, but gets minutes if a guy's banged up. If you need, if it's one of those games you want to throw an extra shooter on the floor, maybe like Ian Clark, those type of things, right? So like that's useful. And 6'6" is bigger than 6'3", so you could play a little 3 with the backup unit. So it's not the worst.
He might theoretically be a good defender. I think you're right.
I'm just saying the good defenders you're getting for the 50th pick can't shoot at all because if they're a good defender and they can shoot, they're not making it past number 20.
Well, they got to pick a struggle, right?
Yeah.
Because like you got guys that need a space around Steph, but you also need guys who can defend around him too. Also, the cool thing is I saw he's Native American, which I thought was cool. I can't even think of another player that was Native American in the NBA. So that's cool. I mean, that's not an ethnicity we ever see. So that's another cool thing. So I don't know if he's gonna actually be on. Like, is it gonna be a G League thing, or is he gonna be on a roster, or is he gonna be shuttling up and down? So that'd be interesting to see. But he crushes in the G League. I mean, he crushes.
Full roster spot. Yeah. I think it's kind of like, and you could make this point. If a dude's crushing in the G League, they're probably more ready to contribute in the NBA than a guy who's playing college ball. Like it is, you are going against. So, it's like, it's Farhani where you're picking up the 27-year-old in AAA who's mashing instead of the 19-year-old who's not mashing. It's fine. It's not like, they need to address the top of the roster too, but that wasn't going to happen with the 52 pick anyway. That 52 pick wasn't going to be a sweetener to get a deal done anyway. Like you think the Clippers are like, we're not doing this trade unless we get number 52.
That's honestly, it's kind of where Dunleavy's kind of got to make his hay two ways, right? At the top and at the bottom. Like at the top, he's got to. We'll talk about the PG and other options, but that's what he's got to work on with the CP3 contract. Then way at the bottom, he's done a good job last year with Pause and TJD. We'll see what happens. Lindy Waters. We spent 5 minutes on Lindy Waters.
By the way, Lindy Waters, everyone's seen this video. If you haven't, you should. Where the girl, I'm going to play it real quick.
Oh, boy.
6.
22.
How long you been together?
2 years.
If she gave you a guilt-free pass to sleep with anybody, would you take it?
No, sir. You might get one pass, but at the end of the day, you want one wife. And this is the wife I want. So no.
Okay. Now what about you if he gave you one?
If he gave me a guilt-free pass, I would take it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Sorry.
That's crazy.
Who would you take it with?
You're bad for this kid.
Don't even know who that is. That's our problem. Yep.
Oh, look at his face.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all he could say. That's crazy.
Oh my God. And the crazy part after that too is she says he's Native American. And that's how I found out. I'm like, wait, how does she know that? Obviously they
from Oklahoma.
Went to the same school and so anyway, that's honestly, I saw that video a while ago. I'm sure you did, and that was the first and only time I've ever heard of Lindy Waters. So good to see him. Good for him.
Degenerate, but I'd seen him play for OKC a few times over the years. But now anytime I hear his name, that's the first thing I think of. Like, sorry, the 3-point shooting is cool, but that video is funnier.
Yeah, there's chances that couple is still going out together. Chances over under 5% chance that they are. No shot.
Unless that was an entire bit and they were just doing that to troll. But yeah, I'm with you. On the Warriors front, I really don't want to do 30 minutes on the draft, but we're inching. There was a second part to this, and this is where it felt pure baseball Farhan type stuff. Warriors trade the number 52 for Lindy Waters III. OKC then traded it to Portland. Then the Warriors bought it back a couple hours later. So then they got to pick at number 70 or 52. And it hard claps them at the second apron. And then my favorite part of the draft, they pick Quinten Post. Gonna be honest with you, not super familiar. I go check him out. Who is he comp to? Troy Murphy.
No fucking way.
Something, just nothing more perfect Warriors than Mike Dunleavy drafting a guy comped to Troy Murphy.
Honestly,
you have to laugh a little bit, right?
I have no words. Drafted by a guy, Mike Dunleavy, by the way, who knows Troy Murphy quite well, I'm sure. I wonder if they still talk. Unbelievable.
They had a rough go of it in the Warriors jersey 20 years ago. That much I remember very vividly. Okay. Here's a couple facts about Quinten Post, and we'll learn more about him as we go forward. Okay. 1, true 7-footer. 2, from the Netherlands. 3, he played 5 years in college, COVID year. most people took the COVID year. They get an extra year. So he's 24 years old, which is to say he is like Trace, as in as close as you're going to get to an older player who theoretically is ready to play in the NBA. Finally, the most attractive thing about him is the dude fills the stat sheet.
Production.
Shooting 43% in consecutive years from three. 50, 58, 54% from two, makes his free throws at like 85%. Like, it's hard to find a 7-footer who can do that. He also blocks a couple shots a game, 3 assists a game, means he can pass. I mean, he sounds like a Steve Kerr player, and I'm just going to take a wild guess. The reason that a player this productive fell to the end of the second round is he may not have NBA level athleticism.
Yes. Yeah. So again, I have a lot of friends that watch college basketball. I don't. So when these picks happen, I text them. They come back to me immediately and go, he is a fun watch in college. Super fun watch. Super productive, can shoot a little bit. Great feel for the game. Total stiff. So I start laughing.
Discount Edie.
That's the scouting report, right? They're just like, it's also Jokic, like cannot move. It's like you can imagine, right? I'm not trying to shit on the kid. It's really cool that he got drafted by the Warriors and he'll have a chance in the G League and all that fun stuff. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, it's Zach Edey's funny. But I think it's cool. The production is great. It reminds me a little bit of when they drafted Pajemski and TJD, right? They drafted big production players, a little bit older in TJD's case, definitely a little bit older.
The film told you they could play. They weren't just going off of workout highlights. Yeah. It was like, here's him actually playing. Here's him getting 10 rebounds in a game, every game type of thing. Yeah.
And maybe that's I mean, not maybe. That's what they're going for. They're trying to get guys that are actually going to be able to play and get you 10, 15 minutes, which is exactly what TJD did. I don't know if this guy's going to give you 10 and 15, but has a better chance than if they drafted some 6'10", rangy, athletic big who can't really shoot, probably shoots 54% from the free throw line. Don't know if he can play basketball or not. Probably start playing when he was 17, right? Like that type of thing.
Theoretical, but look at the athletic testing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're moved away from that. And we're kind of seeing that with these like Quinton post, TJD, Quinton post type. I mean, even Lindy Waters I put in there, right? They traded for him, but I mean, to me, it still counts. He's older, but he's productive in
clear
the NBA.
Production. Yeah. Clear like data to go. If you want to make it a scientific thing, it's like their information is very solid that the dude can shoot in the NBA. It's not a theoretical, it's an actual, Now whether he can do other stuff, we'll see. Yeah. And then the other aspect of it, which Slater just reported, it hard caps them at the second apron officially to make this move. Not really a big deal to me because if they trade Chris Paul in conjunction with any player, they were going to be hard capped anyway. And then we know they weren't going to go above the second apron, but officially it's here. Officially, whenever they release the line for the second apron, it's going to be about 190, could be 191, could be 189.5 or something. They're officially not allowed to go over it. So now we have a budget.
Yeah, so now we know. I mean that, right? You're right. It makes sense. I'm trying to in my head trying to figure out if this means that they're more likely to have used. Is there any of this stuff that kind of tells us that they're going to use that CP3 contract and the trade for sure, or does it not give us any forecast into that? Does it not predict? Is it not predictive at all? Which I don't know.
I don't think it's particularly predictive. I just think if they use CP3 to the full 30 million and don't shed salary elsewhere, you can probably kiss goodbye to Klay. That's what it tells me. I ultimately, I really don't think it changes anything. They made it very clear. I mean, Joe's saying he doesn't want to go over the tax line, which is 172. So being worried about them going over 190 when we know he's shooting for like 172 or 175, not a huge concern for me right now. But end of the day, I didn't expect him to go into the second apron because it's kind of, you read about all the punishments for the second apron. Unless they made the perfect trade of trades, it really wouldn't have been worth it.
And I don't think they're getting perfect trade of trades. But we'll talk about what trades are. possible right after this. The Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more, you pick less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100% your cash. 100x your cash, actually. Testing my skills on PrizePicks this playoff basketball season and the upcoming playoff baseball. You got football, you got golf, you got tennis. It's the most simple way to get on the action. You just select 2 more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, submit your lineup. You can also get $100 match on first deposit using promo code LightYears. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 100x my money this basketball season. You got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks offers injury insurance so that your lineup stay in play even if one of the players get injured. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half, first quarter, does not return in the second, PrizePicks will have your back and not count that as a loss. Download the app today. Use code LightYears for first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today. Use code LightYears for first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. And we are brought to you by Unified. Whether you are a world-class athlete or podcaster, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, listen up. This technology provides wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation, whether you're in the Bay or hundreds of other locations around the globe. Access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE system for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/lightyears to learn more. That's UNIFYD healing.com/lightyears. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
Oh, so look, man, free agency is kind of weird because it hasn't even started, but there's rumors every day. I can't really get mad that things don't happen today. Like, I don't care if they happen today or July 7th. I just want to feel confident about the team when the free agency period ends, right? Like, I'd like it to happen now. I'd have less anxiety, but I just want to get over. I just want to get out of here and feel good about the team going into next year. It's, it's just a weird holding pattern. You agree?
Yeah, it's a weird holding pattern, and I think
you also have the Giants' pessimism built in on your side.
There's really absolutely nothing worse than what the Giants have done the last couple off seasons. It has made me a different person. I've become a hurt person. And
you have become angrier.
You're right, huh?
You have become angrier.
I feel like when you got older, you got like way happier, and then when I'm getting older, I'm getting way angrier now. Yeah.
Well, you're about to have a kid later this year. I'm not gonna give people the due date or anything. You're gonna be too tired to be mad. That's what's gonna happen to you.
Maybe that'll change it.
That's my life hack on the subject, where it's like I'm getting yelled at 5. I'm being ordered around at 5 a.m. I don't have time to get mad over this shit. So
nothing makes me angry anymore. I hope that happens. I just don't know. Like every Giants game or the Warriors. Kind of back to the Warriors. I think the fun part of this is
hope.
Yeah. The fun part of this is they told us about optionality, and they really do have. They really do have a million things that they could do. The real, I think, failure comes if they don't do anything creative. That's the fun part. Right now, the optionality part is really the fun part. So they'll give us content until, what do you think? Today's Thursday. This will maybe come out later tonight or tomorrow. Like what? We'll find out pretty quickly here. This is kind of. I think this. Yeah,
the Chris Paul deadline is tomorrow, the 28th, and we'll find out. I don't think they're going to get a trade done before then. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, we're going to end up going live and discussing it. So I don't think they're going to get a trade done in the short term. And I think they're just going to extend the deadline to whatever, July 6th. It's already like Slater's already written about it. Everyone's kind of talking about how like they kind of have to extend it because most of the free agency stuff doesn't really happen until, let's just say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So they need it to like be usable on that end. So we'll see, but that's like the first domino. If that thing expires, it's going to be depressing.
Yeah, that's the
cool.
only thing, right? If it expires.
Yeah, I mean, they can still make moves and do stuff without it, but it gets harder. It's not positive for it to expire. You know, like I don't see any way in which it expiring makes you or me happier. You know, so
I think the Warriors are doing everything in their power to use that contract.
Yeah,
too. That's what you hear. It's what everyone.
I mean, yeah, all the reporting, basically the only two consistent things you hear is because they smoke screen with the young guys. We're not trading him. We love him. Maybe we are trading him. Maybe we're not, you know, and the Klay stuff is getting a little contentious for sure. But the two consistent things you hear are actively shopping the Chris Paul contract and actively trying to trade Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
Those are the only two truths we know.
Which to me tells me it's not a PG or bust offseason.
No,
it's really what it is.
It tells me that if we are paying you over $20 million, we better feel like we're getting over $20 million of production out of you. And when you look at their roster, you know, Steph's worth double his salary, triple. Give him the Chase Center. Doesn't matter. You know, like it. And Draymond, as annoying as he is, and as much as he ruins stuff, when he's on the court, he's worth more than he gets paid.
Yes, 25 mil. Yep. Nope.
You could argue he's on a discount because of the dumb stuff. If he was model citizen playing 80 games a year while defending the way he does, he probably is getting 35 to 40, you know? So, but hey, that's his problem, not mine. So,
he knows it. I mean, that's why he signed the freaking contract for 4 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Klay. They're hardlining Klay. You know, they want to bring back Klay, but they seem pretty gung-ho on like he's coming back on the right number. We're not just going to give him a nostalgia deal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then there's Chris Paul, who is always just kind of a trade chip to hopefully add a player worth something. And then there's Wiggins. We haven't really talked too much about him recently, but it's like, it's not that he can't be worth 26 million. It's that from their perspective, they're like, I need someone who's worth their money every game, not just randomly here and there.
I think it would be so if the two big things are they have to get off of those two contracts. I think the other thing that goes unmentioned, actually, and we haven't talked about this, I think they're actually also aggressively shopping the two young wings and using them in those salary trades, whether it be to get off the contract. Maybe you throw Moody in there to get off the Wiggins contract, or you throw Kuminga in there as the piece that gets you someone along with the Chris Paul contract. I actually think that's not talked about enough because they're telling us, oh, Mike Dunleavy saying we like these guys, we want to be able to develop these guys. I think it's completely false. Pods, I think maybe. I think they're higher on him probably than the rest of those guys. And TJD probably doesn't have much value, but I think Kuminga and Moody, I think they're aggressively looking. That's not like I'm not just saying that because I want it to happen or something like that. I think it is. I would be surprised if those guys are on. At least one of them's going to be gone. Yeah, for sure.
And I think the biggest problem they have is those guys are extension eligible this offseason. So you have to feel very confident you know who they're going to be because they're no longer cheap. The reason they love Pods and Trace right now is they make nothing and they already know that they can use them consistently. Pods is a rotation. I mean, he might be the starter next year. We'll see on that front. But whether he plays 35 minutes or 20 minutes a game next year, the coaching staff feels pretty confident that he can contribute, right? And he's making no money for the next 3 years. Trace, even more so. 3 years, making nothing. Those guys, it's still kind of unclear how much they value them, and you're gonna have to pay them. Yeah,
I think that extension one is I should have probably said it, but I think that's it. Like they don't like this the secret thing that's not talked about with the Kuminga stuff. Along with the fact that it's like, is he the right fit? How good is he going to be? It's like they're going to have to pay. I mean, technically, they don't have to pay him this offseason, but that is on the docket as something that Mike Dunleavy's going to have to talk to his agent about. They're going to come to the Warriors and say, all right, like we are extension eligible. Let's talk about how much, right, Kuminga is worth. Scotty Barnes just got paid $800 million, right? So
that's I always I'm like, how much?
That contract really annoys me. I don't know. I think did I do it in the last part? Did I text you? Really pissed me off. Like Scotty Barnes, Andy Lou type player, good passer, decent defender, got good feel for the game. But my God, right? Like they're paying him to be the number one guy. It's crazy.
They gave him just the immediate full max the minute he's eligible, and like maybe they had to do it, but like that's rough. And that's also, that's the other part of it. If they're going to be very conscious of the cap, that makes it harder to pay guys. We're still figuring out where they fit into this whole situation. Like, I think both Moody and Kuminga are going to be good players in the NBA for extended periods of time. After 3 years of watching them, I still am not 100% positive on where I think their careers are going, and that's fine. But if I was the one writing the checks, that would not be fine by me. That would not be fine by me. So I think you're probably right that they're looking at all of them. But I think the bigger one that they want to deal with is just like, look, man, if we're going to be paying a wing $26-30 million, I want to know they're a $30 million wing. Or, like the Paul George rumors, Paul George costs $48 million. But Paul George is a superstar. They're looking at it this way where they're like, we could pay a bunch of guys less than him, or we could just get one guy worth all that money.
Right.
So
And we'll figure out the Quinten Post and Lindy Waters type of guys at the back of the.
Go find another Pods. Go find another Trace. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I'm looking at some of these scouting reports and highlights of these players. I feel like I am going to enjoy some of these players play. They're not going to be like great impact, right? Like superstar type of players, but like they seem like good eighth men, all of them, on an NBA roster, which is what the Warriors need. So now they need to solve the first part. I think going back to that point is, I think which is where the CP3 contract brings him to getting a player that is worth that extension amount, right? Because if they're saying to themselves, we don't want to pay Kuminga that extension amount, Moody's extension is not going to be too big, but like we just don't want to pay those guys that extension amount. Let's go trade for someone that we would pay, like you said, like Paul George. But like, even what if it's not Paul George? If it's someone else, like you throw out like Larry Markkinen, like how much is he get? I know he's getting paid less right now, but like how much is he going to get paid on the next contract?
He's getting a max. He's getting a max.
The Warriors are down for pay. They are down to pay for that though, right? Like that's something that they would without even thinking.
It does seem like the new CBA team construct is, if you want to be a contender, you need two max guys. Maxes are unfair because, like, yes, Steph and PG are max guys, but Steph's clearly better than PG, right? Like LeBron and AD are max guys, but well, maybe. But anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? Like you need two of those $50 million a year max players. And then everyone else, you need to be very smart with around them. You can even look at the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are a great example, actually. Boston has two max guys, Jalen and Jason. And then they have three really good starters making between 15 and 25-ish a year, 30. They got Drew Holiday, they got Derek White, they got Kristaps Porzingis, and we'll see how long they can afford that. But it's like, it's a very clear construct of like two big contracts and then, kind of downscale from there a little bit.
Yeah. I think there was a path for the Warriors if guys played better and were more available, that they could go down the path of one max contract and then a bunch of guys in that
strength in numbers.
In that middle, yeah. I mean, they're not going to anymore, obviously, but like that was the path for them. I mean, they won a championship in 2022 going that route when everyone did that. Actually, well, Klay's technically a max. I take that one back. But moving forward, right, You've got a bunch of guys in that mid-20s Klay, let's say he gets, 23, 24, 25. It could work, and then you get buoyed by some of those younger guys. But yeah, no, now that's not the case. The Warriors are going to go get that max guy. They were going to go get that $40 million player, and then the rest is going to be, figure that out, which is fine. Actually, let me ask you this: what do they have to do? And when we went through this a couple of weeks ago, if they do trade for a max guy, is there a chance that they could use the MLE, or is that off? I forget the math. Or is that out of the?
It completely depends on who they're sending out and how much money they're taking back. The cliff notes is they could potentially generate the space to get the full mid-level or the taxpayer mid-level. I think where it really gets dicey is if they were to swing, let's just say the Paul George trade. Who knows? If they were to swing something like that, odds are they would have to choose between like a taxpayer mid-level or Klay, and they would no longer be able to. They couldn't do both.
Yeah, and taxpayer is only 6, right? And that's
6.5. Yeah. So,
it's not
and again, all of this is like I almost don't like to discuss it because like I need to know who goes out and who's coming back, and then I can look at the team and tell you, okay, they need another wing or they need a center. Like answer those type of questions, right? So. It's like every time we do these, Andy, people are in the comments being like, why do you want to trade this player? Why do you want to do that? And that sort of thing. And I'm like, it's not that. It's or they make their case that like we can't trade him. Who's going to guard the point of attack? Who's going to protect the rim? Who's going to do this? And I'm just saying, I'm going like, I think they need an impact player. They need a true number 2. And I think once you get that, and whatever the cost is, I think you just have to eat it. Then you figure out what you want to put around it. What I'd put around Lauri Markkanen is different than what I'd put around Paul George. Yeah. And that's different than what I'd put around Jimmy Butler. Like they're all different players. Their skill sets mesh differently. So
I think, okay, so let's riff on that for a second. Cause I think that that's pretty accurate when you look at like, you're not going to be the Boston Celtics. Like no team has 2 great wings balanced by a great front office that puts together 3, 4, 5, 6 role players that are perfect, right? And they just play a great style of basketball. More often than not, right now, as teams are currently constructed, you're going to have to go down the Dallas Mavericks route. What you're saying, Dallas Mavericks don't have a great point of attack defender. What they do is they just said, okay, we have an elite offensive guy, right? We have a secondary elite offensive guy, and we're just going to completely play off of that. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up, for example, right, Derek Jones Jr., who's a great point of attack defender as a vet min guy. We're going to go trade for a floor spacer like PJ Washington. We're going to draft big to go help out floor spacing, floor spacing, and Derek Lively, right? And then we'll trade for Daniel Gafford, who soaks up those minutes defensively, and figure it out from there. Like they don't have a perfect team either, but the fact that they have 2 really freaking good offensive players on offense, they can get away with some one-dimensional guys on defense because they can play defense. Like what you're saying is truthfully like that is the best path forward. You can't just say because Wiggins is your best point of attack, you just can't trade him. It's like, well, then you're not going to be able to construct a roster that's flexible, right? Like you're just going to have to trade guys, and maybe you hope that GP2 stays healthy, like, or you get a vet min guy that works out, right? Like that's probably the best path forward. But as long as you got Steph, let's just say Steph, Lowry, and Draymond Green. If you have those 3 guys, like you're pretty gold in terms of you're going to be a playoff team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to construct the roster downstream when you have a comfortable core. And for all the best wing point of attack defender on the team, he had the worst plus minus on the entire team. So that's the other part of it. That's the other reason they're training. He's just an inconsistent person. So
like he's gone.
Anyway.
We're gone by next week, which is, it is kind of sad. We'll do a post-mortem on that one, Sam, I think. But I mean, it's a little sad, but
roster's a mess. Changes got to be made. I don't know.
Especially the way that he's going to be like, they're trying to offload him, like teams don't even want him. The Warriors have to attach something to get off that contract. It's, oh man, it's tough. Should not have been this way. Should not have come down to this.
It should not have, but that's kind of why Minnesota had to do it too. Remember? So
at least the Warriors come out of it.
Yeah, they did get something out of it. All right, well, let's end it here. We'll be back. Obviously, a bunch of stuff in the air. You keep reacting to it in real time, guys.